time has come in America when the same kind of concentrated effort that split the atom and took man to the moon should be turned toward conquering this dread disease.
So after war was declared, we were still losing it in a way for 20 more years.
Honestly, that a tumor that size could fit in anybody's brain. This is, for me, a humanitarian effort.
No matter who loves you, who is there for you, you have to walk that alone. That medicine is going into your system.
What this allows us to do now is potentially turn cancer into a chronic disease.
To see the progress that's been made is huge.
The best days are when we hear results of some of our patients undergoing these trials.
For a lot of people, it flips their world upside down.
To be a source of inspiration and hope to others.
Within 20 trials, you should be able to pick up one that may be beneficial to you. If not this one, there'll be one down the road. If it doesn't help you, it allows us to help the ones in the future.
Tonight, a primetime special report, the CBS 42 Local War on Cancer. We're letting you know about research going on right here in Birmingham that's making a difference in the lives of people in and out of Alabama. We'll have their stories and tell you about no-cost genetic testing available to you right now. It is a far cry from where we stood when our nation first declared war on cancer. It was Richard Nixon who declared war on cancer, handing out pens after signing the 1971 National Cancer Act. 45 years later,
I'm putting Joe in charge of mission control.
President Obama at his 2016 State of the Union.
Let's make America the country that cures cancer once and for all.
In another bipartisan effort, Congress passed the 21st Century Cures Act.
It's personal, but I know we can do this. If I could be anything, I would have wanted to be the president that ended cancer, because it's possible.
Even more possible today thanks to the 21st Century Cancer Cures Act that President Obama signed in 2016. It provides $1.8 billion for the Beau Biden Cancer Moonshot Initiative to speed up cancer research and get therapies to patients. What will its impact look like compared to that of the 1971 National Cancer Act? It launched the National Cancer Program and 15 NCI-designated cancer centers. One of them at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Dr. Ed Partridge is the executive director of the UAB Comprehensive Cancer Center.
You can recall the time when Nixon declared a war on cancer?
I can, because I was actually in medical school. I started medical school in '69. So we were here when Nixon signed the act,
which provided for a national commitment for the conquest of cancer.
That act actually established the concept of the National Cancer Institute designated cancer centers. That is, that the research needed to be done in academic institutions across the country. Mammography wasn't here in the '60s. Our ability to screen for colorectal cancer was a 1970s discovery.
By 1977, Dr. Partridge was just getting into private practice as a gynecologist, volunteering with the American Cancer Society and the American College of Surgeons.
Simultaneously with that, I was operating on individuals with cancer, and we're able to cure a large number of them, but it's still a one-on-one kind of thing. I could only do 3 operations a day. So I had the opportunity to come back to the university in 1990.
He came as division director of the Cancer Control and Population Science program at UAB. It was in that position that Dr. Partridge and his team noticed something disturbing at a faculty retreat in 1992.
That's when we looked at the data, and that's when we saw that there were disparities beginning to emerge. So disparities didn't occur in any significance until the mid-'80s.
Despite the knowledge that screenings for breast, colon, and cervical cancers led to early detection and better outcomes, Education, income, and insurance access prevented all Americans from benefiting from those advances.
So now, for the first time, with the exception of the Pap smear, for the first time in history, we had a way to actually make a difference in a cancer outcome.
This is where the UAB Comprehensive Cancer Center is making a difference in the nation as it relates to our understanding of cancer. They identified cancer disparities and did something about it.
And so we said we have a moral and ethical obligation and an opportunity. So we said, let's focus in our research program on cancer disparity. Let's make it our overarching theme.
And that led to the UAB Deep South Network for Cancer Control. This year, UAB received a $16 million renewal grant from the NCI to continue its efforts to reduce cancer disparities, which are vast. Cancer rates are 10% higher among African Americans, and twice as many African Americans die of cancer compared to whites. These are cold hard facts that our next guest, Rosie Butler, has lived.
Back then, it was just gruesome. It was horrifying. I watched a great aunt, just from breast cancer, literally die. In the Black community, you didn't get the best care. It wasn't available to you. So the suffering was a lot greater.
Helping others is in the DNA of this local philanthropist. Many know her for the millions she's raised for Children's of Alabama. But we are telling Rosie Butler's story because despite cancer's return, she's still helping others on social media, of all places. Scroll through Rosie Butler's Facebook page and you see a beautiful woman.
I started saying something's not right to my family.
Sometimes pictured with her grandsons.
And it was just amazing because I thought I was doing everything right.
Occasionally, pictures from her days as a model traveling the world with the famed Ebony Fashion Fair make the feed.
I knew I'd gotten through breast cancer. I was so elated.
But mostly you see words of encouragement, motivation, or praise.
And I actually bought into that, you know? I said, wow, I'm a survivor.
All an overflow of gratitude for where she found strength after receiving her second cancer diagnosis in 6 years. This time, it was metastatic.
I share it because my mother went through the same fight, and a lot of my relatives. I sat by the bedside of my grandfathers, both of them, my great-grandfather, my grandfather. I watched them pass away from cancer.
Those memories as fresh today as when she first heard she had cancer.
When he was saying, I'm so sorry, but you do have breast cancer, you are positive. And I said, I just made a gesture because I actually couldn't hear him. It was like my ears were plugged. My mind did not want to comprehend that because I'm already dealing with 2 terminal illnesses. And I'm thinking, God, 3? What I started seeing was people inboxing, and I would be stunned when they would tell me their story, or people I knew, and they would say, Rosie, I haven't told anyone.
Faith and family for this doting grandmother have always carried her through.
Even when I take the treatment, you know, I didn't like it, and tears would flow because I knew what was coming afterwards. And I would still look up and go, thank you, Jesus, because I'm alive.
That's what she shares with family and friends. Gratitude, smiles, and that she can still fly with her grandsons. Rosie tells me, yes, she still cries, but she also smiles, and she's going to keep smiling. The American Cancer Society says recognizing emotions and feelings are an important part of coping with cancer. That's why we've asked you to share your stories, which we have posted at WIAT.com. Angeline Berry sent us this. I try to see the good in every trial, knowing that God has a bigger plan for me. My faith is rooted in that, and I know I will beat this. Signed, a determined woman. Coming up, those who travel to Birmingham for world-class cancer treatment. Runner Nathan Sexton's treatment has changed his life. It's next when the CBS 42 Local War on Cancer continues.